R1150GS. I'll swap the camera. Oh, I can't. This is the one. And I'm thinking my RID is bad, and it's just this one here. So this is how you can test it. You take off the tank, and I'm getting very poor mileage out of the tank. Like I'm driving on 18 liters, maybe 230 kilometers. The thing I'm seeing while driving, I'm only having 3 bars of oil, not pressure, but oil temperature. I have now fully blocked the oil cooler with some duct tape. Blocks the wind from cooling down the oil. That results in, you can't see it right now because everything is not connected because the connector is loose, but that normally results in 4 bars of oil temperature. Looking at the chart, 5 bars should be around 105 Celsius, what it should be. It's cold now here. It's like it's not freezing, but it's on the edge of freezing. So alright, it can be a bit colder. But at summer, I drive easily 80 to 90 kilometers more on the same tank, same type of traveling on the highway. So what you can do, I have bought a couple of resistors, and this is a 180 ohms resistor. This one right here. And 180 ohms should correspond to 5 bars. So what I'll do, I'll plug this in here. And you don't have to worry about shorting anything out. So this is now in. Oh, hold on. Bam. I'm trying to push this in. And 5 bars. If I take it out, I'll take it out. Look at what happens. This is completely out. Now I'll put it back in, and bam, 5 bars. That means that this connector and all the way up to the RID, the rider information display, is working correctly. This bad boy right here is the actual temperature. This is the oil valve that opens and closes. That is temperature controlled, no electronics run into it. And this one right next to it, because the oil comes from this way, is picking up the temperature right before it leaves or floats back into the engine before it hits go open. Anyhow, this is the temperature pickup, and it's this cable, and it's now connected to my multimeter, and it says it's on the scale of 20K. So this is 800 ohms. The higher the ohms, the lower the temperature. If it's super hot, then you have very low resistance. Yes, the higher the temperature, the lower the resistance. So I've tested this bad boy in a piece in a bucket of water, and I boiled it. I put a second temperature gauge next into it, and it's dead on where it should be. So it's all working fine. So nothing's wrong. Well, nothing looks like to be wrong with this one. There's nothing wrong with the cabling, no rust or anything. All the way from up here to the RID, everything is working as it should be. Which means that the oil is actually too cold while driving, because 3 bars and up to 85 Celsius, which is way too cold. So the engine is producing, well, abusing way too much petrol in order to make up for the cold engine, which leads to very bad bad miles per gallon, let's say it in the American way. So I have bought, and this is what I'm gonna do. There's a spring in here. This spring loses its original length over time, and I'm gonna replace it. This is the spring. This sits underneath the oil thermostat, which opens and closes just by temperature control, no electronics, like I said before. And like any spring, this length is made by BMW for a specific, well, length and strength in that matter. And of course it's going to shorten, it's going to lose its compression character, and a couple of millimeters can result that the oil might actually flow into the oil cooler while the actual temperature has not been reached yet for the oil to run outside of the engine into the oil cooler. So I'm gonna replace this one. This is the part number, and I'm gonna do the same thing because there's also a second spring on the bottom side. Not this one. This is some other parts. This one as well. This is also an oil spring. I'll show. So this is the easiest way of servicing the spring on the right lower side of the engine. I have crash bars, tank is off, so I'm not afraid of damaging anything. It's fully on the crash bars, it's easy to pick up, and you don't have any massive oil leak draining down. You have to take this one out, the big Allen, what is it, 10 socket. Then that's this one, comes out. Always replace this copper washer. It's not worth reusing it. This little spring comes out, and the left one is the new one and the right one is the old one, so it loses tension over time. There's a little oil valve in there. I'm gonna leave it in. I've seen it last week and it's in fine condition. Most of the time it's fine, as long as you do oil changes every while, 10, 12, 15 Ks. I do 10. There's a massive difference here, and this is almost 3 millimeters, so which means it does have some influence on the oil pressure. There's a Polish guy and who's really gone through the trouble of showing what it does in terms of oil pressure level on different temperatures. I'm not gonna do that. I've seen his results and this is me. So the bottom one is the old spring, the new one is the top spring, and I've laid them here flat into the to the same surface, my finger, and bam, there you go. And also the first one measures, let's see, I'll try doing this with one hand, 65. Almost 68. So it's like a 3 mil difference. And the way this works, I'll show you. The spring goes in there. So this is the new one. Drop it down in there. Then you have this. This is actually the oil thermostat, and this pin comes out, and this pin pushes down on the spring, because this will stay on the same spot. So while the spring comes out, it will push this thing down. This allows for the oil passage to run out and into oil cooler pipe. So it's pushing itself down. So if this spring is not pressing hard enough, or is actually shorter to start with, regardless the pressure it puts on this thermostat, you might get some funky results that I have right now. So I'll post some stuff after I think 300 mil ride